Okay. So start at the beginning. There were three other theaters running at the time, and it was just post First World War. People were coming back to the community. There was a lot of excitement and pride in Brantford. And that's one of the reasons that they built this. They created a corporation to run all these and build this space that would attract first run movies and the Keith Vaudeville circuit. So this was all about putting Brantford on the map to have a space like this. And the tagline for the Temple Theater when it was first built was Brantford's Supreme Playhouse, which is one I think we should start using again because it still works. But yeah, so that was the origins of it. It was very much about um, pride in the community and serving all of these people. That it was a third the size at the time, but it supported four movie theaters or four theaters. And So it brought in, like I said, Keith Vaudeville Circuit. It brought in United Artist Movies and really was very prestigious. And that's kind of how things started.
At that point in time, much like everything else, vaudeville kind of changed. At what point in time did it kind of stop being, like, what, self-sufficient, or was it just the interest weighted, or?
Well, I think there's probably a lot of things. I think the technology caught up with sound in movies,
Mhm.
and I think that people's tastes changed. That instead of going to discover something that was in your town for 3 days, it became about sharing the big cultural experience of the blockbuster movies
Mhm.
and the Hollywood machine. So I think people were shifting their tastes there as well as when the technology was catching up. And so in the late 20s, vaudeville started to fade away and movies became more and more full time until eventually famous players came on the scene, snapped up the theater, and started and just kind of closed down the theater stage and ran movies.
So at that point in time, the building being what it is, it's a perfectly good place to watch movies, I would suspect. You don't have the gear there anymore as it did back in the day. So how long was it a movie theater in that sense? Until what, the 60s?
No, it was a movie theater right up until 86.
86. Wow.
So it was almost 60 years.
Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
Now, was that because once again, I'm thinking in terms of what was operating. 80s were still fairly big in terms of movie theaters, but you probably started seeing them fizzle around that time. How many movie theaters were in Brantford at that time frame?
Oh, I'm not sure. We were the only one that was a single screen.
Ah, okay.
So it was the era of the multiplex.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so even in the 70s, there was a lot of talk about we don't need this big space. We should carve it up into smaller
Yeah,
theaters.
yeah.
And so there was a lot of community discussion about that, about saving this big, beautiful hall instead of letting it be cut up.
It went from vaudeville, it went into films, it went into performances, and now that it's the 100th year, you're kind of bringing all three of those themes into your schedule.
Absolutely. We want to celebrate all of them because they all connected to the community in their own way. One of the things I didn't mention during those film years
Yep.
was that the stage wasn't completely lost. It was still used every once in a while. The symphony orchestra would do four concerts a year. They would push the screen to the back wall. The symphony would come out and play, and a lot of the bigger like Massey's would have their Christmas parties out
Mm-hmm.
for their employees and their employees' families. So it was still used by the community outside of that movie style,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
But it's interesting. You were saying they were actually able to push the screen back. It wasn't a scenario like you would have in a multiplex now, where the screen is part of the building for all intents and purposes.
exactly.
Well, okay, I didn't. Once again, the things you learned through all this. So, um, from a vaudeville point of view, celebrating 100 year, what are some of the vaudevillian inspired things that are coming up in the next year?
Well, I'll do a quick callback to Deborah Brown show
Go
because
for it.
that is very much in a vaudeville circus theme.
Yep.
So vaudeville had a lot of variety and comedy and spectacles. So we try to recover that. We've got a lot of comedy coming in. Howie Mandel is one of our bigger ones. Brent Butt.
Hmm.
One that I'm really curious about, and I haven't seen anything about it other than descriptions, is a show called Hiprov, which I think is a perfect vaudeville show.
Tell me more.
We've got a hypnotist
Yeah.
who brings audience up on the stage,
Yeah.
hypnotizes them in the first act, teaches them how to be improv comedians, and then Colin Mockery comes out and works with the other improv comedians. So our audience is going to be doing improv with Colin Mockery.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is so vaudeville. Actually, when you think of Colin Mockery, he would have been vaudeville.
Absolutely.
In the pure sense. Film, something you're introducing, well, maybe, I don't know if you've done it before, but it's definitely part of the schedule, bringing movies to the theater.
Yeah, we got a film series this year. We looked at that era when it was the Capitol Theater and movies was its business, and so we're bringing back 6 shows. We're going to show them on Sunday afternoons, and we just got some shows from those eras.
Now, are you doing that as a rear projector type of scenario because of the facility, or you actually got a projector in play there? How's this going to work out?
We have a full-size screen at the front of the stage.
Yeah.
It's about 2/3 the width of the stage, and a bright projector from the projection booth.
Okay.
And yeah, we did do some amazing film there.
Wow. Once again,
When we had Jane Goodall last year, she had a National Geographic biography on her. And so this whole documentary we screened for students.
oh, so it's perfect.
Beautiful full stage experience.
Okay. We now get into performances, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. So the performances are kind of what we've been doing since '86.
Yeah.
And so we've got a lot of music. We've got some really big names and people like Burton Cummings. Kim Mitchell will be here, and Natalie McMaster and Danelle Leahy will be here, and a lot of other great shows, both on the main stage and in that intimate lobby space.
And I love the intimate lobby space. Once again, just everything about that building is purposeful in that sense. You also, and just to recap it, the gala.
The gala.
The gala.
On the real birthday, which apparently I did not hit enough for you.
Well, you know what? Let's hit it one more time.
Let's hit it one more time.
Hit that to the ground. Yeah.
December 22nd, 2019, the 100th birthday, we will be having a gala celebration featuring the tenors. and
On
their
the
Christmas show.
actual 100th anniversary.
Well, actually, yes,
Wow!
it is.
Wow!
Yeah.
What a concept. That must to be able to schedule that though. The sweat on your brow must have been tremendous for a while.
I was telling everybody, it's all you need is nerves of steel.
Yeah.
All you need is nerves of steel, because it came down to the wire to make it happen, and fortunately everything fell into place.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes the good things do. They really do. What do people have to look forward to for the next 100 years?
Well, I think it's taken a lot to get us to the point where we can announce this season and introduce it to the community, and now the community is going to take it and decide what they like. So we've got to let that happen. But while that's happening, yes, I'm already turning to next year and trying to navigate. Okay, it won't be a 100th birthday, but I don't want to disappoint anybody by really dropping
Yeah.
the ball on what we're doing this year. So